Hello and welcome to another LinkedIn Live. Before I get started, can anybody just tell me if they can hear us and listen to us clearly? There's a 10 seconds lag, so we'll have to wait
Hmm,
a little bit.
got it.
Yep, I think people can hear us.
All right.
All right, so let's get started. Today I have a very special guest with me, a good friend who I met on LinkedIn, by the way,
Hmm.
and he has been apart from being a great account executive at multiple places. So now he's at Proofpoint. Previously, he has been at Metadata, Dremio, MongoDB, Semantic, and Apple as well. So quite a long sales journey, and that's why I thought we should ask Troy to be on our LinkedIn Live today to to listen to him about his journey on how he started writing on LinkedIn, how social selling has helped in work, in life, in relationships, etc. So yeah, glad to have you here, Troy. Thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It should be a blast. Thanks.
Cool. So first of all, right, first question: when did you start writing on LinkedIn, and why did that even occur to you?
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird journey with how I got started on LinkedIn. So about 4 years ago is when I started using LinkedIn to actually prospect into the people that I wanted to reach out to and book meetings. But I wasn't really posting unless it was your typical marketing updates where marketing would tell you to go post stuff on social because there's a new feature release and things like that. And then at Dremio, which was about 2 years ago, I was really big on, I would be connecting with my ICP on LinkedIn. And at that time, it was data analytics and data engineering. But I would connect with as many people as I possibly could because at the time I had hundreds of accounts. I own the entire Southeast. And then when I would get a lot of people in my ICP to connect with me, I would just reach out to them and share stuff specific to Dremio only. And I would run a lot of polls. This is back in the day when polls were like the big thing to do. And it was the best way to get engagement. And so when I ran those polls, I ran them in a way where I was pretty much setting it up to where I was asking questions for, I was essentially fishing for pain because I was asking questions knowing that our product could solve for it. And then anybody that would like answer the questions, I'd then reach out to them a couple of days later and be like, hey, I know that you had pain with this. Um, Again, at this time, I still wasn't posting regularly. It wasn't until metadata about 9 months ago I started posting regularly about, hey, like I'm breaking into meetings, I'm moving deals along, I'm closing deals. And I think that I should just share what I'm doing. There's no reason not to share what I'm doing. And if you follow me or any post that I've posted for the most part, I try to make every single thing that I post, hey, literally step by step, here is how I booked this meeting last week. Go give it a shot. Or here's how I booked 3 meetings or moved this deal or closed this deal. So about 9 months ago, I started posting every single day. And I've missed a few days. There was about 6 months where I would post twice a day and I did not miss a single day. And then it gets tiring. It's LinkedIn is very taxing. It can take a toll on you. You can be sitting, you'll get off work and you'll be on your phone just looking at LinkedIn, engaging and all that stuff. But now it's kind of like back then I would post at 7 a.m. Central Time every single morning. Now it's just when I think of something throughout the day, I'll send a post and I'll miss a day here and there. But yeah, so I'd say it's been a long LinkedIn journey when it comes to sales, but when it comes to regularly posting, 9 months ago is when I started really going at it.
Right. Yeah, I think yeah, the taxing part, it at the end of the day, it's a social platform. It
Yeah.
it does get to you after a while. Yeah, that's one thing. But another thing where you said that you can miss days here and there and doesn't matter. But initially, when you're trying to get into the rhythm of setting up, I have to write every day. That sort of a mindset. you really need that routine, right? 7 a.m., or
Yeah.
like for me it was 11 a.m. IST. I'm going to post something. These days
Yeah.
it's not as much as I when I started like a year ago. I mean, 1.5 years ago, early 2022.
Yep.
That's when I was like, you know what, I'm gonna post at this time, and whatever, no matter what, I'll stop everything, I'll just write
Yeah.
and I'll post. So yeah, I think that was good. Going to the second question, how has it benefited you from an AE perspective? Like, it
Yeah.
has got you revenue, it has got you prospects who went cold, they've come back to you after seeing your post or something like that. If you can talk about that, yeah.
Yeah. So from an account executive perspective, there's a couple high level overview things that I think about. The first one is it's really helped my writing in general. And so back then I would always, make prospecting messages where I'm talking in internal company jargon because it's how we talk to our employees at our company. Like they understand it. Everybody that we typically talk to understands it because we're just so focused on talking to employees. So it's helped me really with my writing and how I'm writing my prospecting emails, my prospecting messages on LinkedIn, to make things way more clear. One thing about me is I don't read. I skim a lot of stuff and I listen to a lot of podcasts, but I suck at reading. And it's not that I can't read; I just don't have the attention span to. So that resulted into me not having this large vocabulary, but it's actually really helped me in sales because now I'm not trying to sound really smart. I'm just being me. So I think I've gotten really, really good at writing when it comes to making things very clear of what I'm presenting. Um, and then the second thing from an AE perspective, as a high level overview, we can dive a little bit more into specifics, but I've had many old executives that I've worked with at startups and even sales leaders that have reached out to me saying, hey, whenever you're looking to make the jump, let me know. And they're pretty much offering me a job right there on the spot, which is really cool. By the way, I'm not looking to leave anytime soon, but I'm always welcome to have conversations, see why people are reaching out and things like that. So it's helped me. I feel like I won't ever have to look for a job. If that sounds like, I don't want that to come off any way, but I think that's helped me a lot. But I guess to get into more of the specifics on the AE side, I'll break it down into two things because right now I'm at proof point. I have less than 10 accounts that I can prospect into. And then before proof point, 5-6 months ago, I was at metadata, like you mentioned, and I had 400, 500 accounts that I could break into. So it's a completely different prospecting style and a completely different persona. I went from selling to marketers to selling to chief information security officers, which they've been at the company for 30 years. They're kind of set in their ways. They have, whatever they have going on is kind of what they have going on. So at metadata, it helped me a lot with one, marketers are extremely active on LinkedIn. And I feel like most posts these days that you read on LinkedIn are targeted towards people that target marketers or sales reps or any sort of like account executive. But what about the people that do target cybersecurity professionals or even like manufacturing and supply chain and logistics? It's a completely different ball game than targeting marketers and sales reps because they're very, very active on LinkedIn. So with metadata, it's helped me book a lot of meetings. And what I was doing at metadata was I was simply just like, we had a benchmark report that metadata comes out with every year. So many statistics that you can grab from there. And if anybody's looking to post on LinkedIn, this is like kind of the secret sauce is that first sentence that you post on LinkedIn. I think that it should always include a number. So like, for example, instead of this is how I booked the meeting, it's this is how I booked 3 meetings with a company that does 120 million in revenue or something like that. It's much more relevant and it's people can resonate with it more. But with metadata, I posted a lot of our benchmark report because we had so many statistics of what converted what converted more, which call to action converted more, which channels converting more, what's the ROAS, all that good stuff. I would take that. So I was essentially just taking other content, but making it into digestible pieces. But what I do as an account executive is I connect with my ICP all day. Every single morning, I'll go in and I'll connect with my ICP, another 25, 30 people. So at metadata, it was marketing. And because I connect with them the same day that they connect with you or the day after, they'll actually see your post. So then you start resonating more with your audience. And now they're seeing your face and they're seeing who you are. And you're not posting metadata stuff. You're posting actual helpful tips. So it helped me book a lot of meetings at Metadata. It helped me move a lot of stale deals because then I'm connected with people at the company that I'm working with that aren't the people that I'm working with throughout the deal process. Just trying to get a little bit more insider information. And then it just helped me build a reputation with marketers and sales reps on LinkedIn as well when I was at Metadata, because I'm just engaging with everybody's content. Like I said, marketing and sales is very, very active on LinkedIn. So I was just engaging with a ton of content. There was a lot to say, but I'm going to turn the corner here. It's a proof point. So that was what I was doing at Metadata. Lots of posting, lots of engagement. Used it less for booking meetings and more of letting people know who I was, and actually email plus LinkedIn combination when people are familiar with you is kind of a really deadly combination when it comes to booking meetings. But with Proofpoint, I'm targeting people that are typically 50, 60 years old. They've been at the company for 30 years. They're not active on LinkedIn. And that was a huge, huge pivot for me. Is I'm really active on LinkedIn and they're not active on LinkedIn. And this just doesn't mix. But what I found was they'll post a lot about their company on LinkedIn, like when marketing forces them to post. So it kind of feeds me information of what's going on at the companies. I'll comment on all of their posts. I'll endorse them. I'll do all that stuff just to I want them to just know Troy Munson, the name. However, the entry level people at the companies that I reach out to are pretty active on LinkedIn. So what I do today when I'm in this environment where not a lot of people are active on LinkedIn and I really only have 9 accounts that I can break into is entry level people. The first thing I message them is, hey, do you mind if I share with you? So I'm in cybersecurity today. I'll say, hey, do you mind if I share with you some cybersecurity threats that we're seeing? We typically find some weekly. I'm not asking for a pitch. I'm literally just giving them stuff without ever asking for anything. And most of the time they'll say, yeah, that would be really helpful because they want to know this stuff. They don't want to be in a situation where they get attacked by something cybersecurity wise, and then now they're coming to me. So I say, hey, do you mind if I share this with you? I give, and then something ends up sticking over the next few weeks where they ask a little bit more information, and then I get more information about the company, use that information to then email the executives. But that's how I do it as an account executive today, and that's how it's helped me. It's just getting information about companies, literally getting job offers, I'd say maybe like monthly or so, or at least conversations, getting better at writing, and then just booking meetings and moving deals along.
Right. That was a lot, and it's
Yeah.
good that it's a lot. So
Done
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I think the when you sell to marketers and salespeople, or even GTM, right, as a whole,
Yep.
which we do at Factors. And I remember initially when we were starting outbound, really long ago. That was in late 2021, maybe. We had this thing that how would anyone know about this new company
Yeah.
without any digital presence whatsoever?
Mhm.
So one of our outbound strategies was to get writing on LinkedIn. Doesn't matter how bad it was. Like if I scroll down to posts which are like some 1.5 years old, they'll be like, I wouldn't post it
Yeah.
today. I
Yeah.
can say that. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it helped our digital presence in long term. Today we get a lot of traffic from organic social, and we also have a HubSpot form option where they're like, where did they hear us
Yeah.
about? They say write up LinkedIn, right? And that's also because we sell to marketers and they are hanging around LinkedIn all the time, so
Yep.
it worked for us well. So if you're selling to marketers, salespeople, GTM people, then I think one of your sales strategies should be to write on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This has been very helpful for us at Factors, and like you said, it does work for any
Yeah.
geography, any company. I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that just to feed off that real quick, I think that honestly, if you are a startup and you can get your employees to post on LinkedIn, not only about the startup, it's okay to pitch the startup here and there. But most companies have use cases. Most companies have success stories. You can literally take that information, digest it into like a just a very easy to read paragraph. If you're a startup, I believe if you can get most of your sales reps to post on LinkedIn 4 times a week or anything like that, and it's less, hey, here's a new feature that we just rolled out, and more of, hey, here's how we help, or here's what we're seeing in the market today. I think that's a competitive advantage. I don't think enough companies let their employees, or at least like encourage their employees. Like Metadata encourages all their employees to post on LinkedIn. Same with, I mean, look at Gong. Gong is, every single person there is now blown up on LinkedIn, and it seems like they all have a side gig where they're making an extra 6 figures just because Gong shouts them out all the time. Everyone
Absolutely.
everyone knows Gong, and it's because they're present. And so I don't know. I just think that any sort of startup doesn't matter how many employees. If you're a startup, especially the CEO level, if the CEO can start posting, I look at companies like Trumpet with Rory, and I look at Journey with Brendan and things like that, and they're building these brands, and Neil with Paige, they're building these brands themselves, and they're also, and Nectar as well. Nectar's really big on LinkedIn. They all the employees just post stuff that's relevant and stuff that people care about, and it's nothing about their product,
Yeah,
um, which
which
is
is great.
incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Refine Labs is another
Oh,
example that
absolutely.
I can think of, like OG posting on LinkedIn stuff. I think it was Refine Labs and Gong who started this employee advocacy thing.
Hmm.
I think LinkedIn also incentivizes that. I sort of know this because I sort of manage Factors company page as well. And
Yeah.
when I was like, one fine day I wake up and there's like a employee advocacy tab,
Mm.
and yeah, and it does tell me that we all knew that LinkedIn encourages this, but now we are sort of confirmed that, hey, LinkedIn does want your employees to advocate for you in what matter. Like, I'll take a little bit detour on this, and I'll continue on this
Yeah.
line where, so don't you think that getting employees to post on LinkedIn, or telling people to post from their personal accounts, is a bit tough? Like people have a mental barrier that,
Hmm.
oh, on social, this is a professional platform, and
Yeah.
it's not an Instagram that I can post anything. It's, they have this mental barrier of going social, right? Even the most extrovert people I know in my life, they're still not very extrovert on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
because it's a professional platform. It's for me. Why would I write
Yeah.
about these things? So yeah.
Yeah. And people are scared to sound dumb. Like they don't want to post something that people disagree with. I was actually speaking with a founder the other day, and he made a post, and then somebody disagreed with him on the post, and it kind of made him feel a little weird inside, so he deleted the post. I mean, not everything I post and not everything anybody posts, everybody agrees with. Actually, one person, Chris Walker, you talked about Refine Labs, very like against the grain marketing thinking, and post like, I thought he was crazy when he was talking about all this revenue R&D, screw marketing. It's all about revenue R&D. And I was like, what is this stuff? And then I thought about it more. And at the end of the day, if all teams align to revenue, it is really revenue research and discovery. Like that's what it is. So yeah, I think a lot of people don't want people to disagree with them. They don't want to share their opinions or their thoughts. And maybe they just think that when they hit post and they get 0 likes, it also could be like when I have a post and it gets like 4 or 5 likes, it's like, ooh, man, that hurts. That stings a little bit. But it's just sometimes you got to let go of the emotions there. And I don't know. I've said it in a post this week. If you're a BDR, if you're an AE, if you're anyone go to market marketing, honestly, outside of go to market too, I know a couple people in insurance posting a lot. But um, I mean, if you're booking a meeting, if you're generating leads, if you're doing something that's working, just post about it. Even if you're doing something that's not working, post about it so nobody else does it. So I don't know. It is weird to touch on the fact that some people are also like, hey, this is my personal account. Why should I post, as an employee? It's all about what do you want at the end of the day. I told my wife, like, my goal is I never want to have to look for a job again. And if I ever start a business on the side, that I want to have an audience that trusts me and is familiar with me. So it helps me get a head start. And so those are my two goals. But yeah, sorry.
That
Yeah, we took a detour there, but I'll give it back to you.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. For and one solution, I won't say it's a solution, but one way out to this mental block um, I would say is the CXOs or the founders. If it's a smaller startup, like the founders and the CXOs, they start building this on their own, right? Like when you're like, oh my, if my leadership is writing, and if my leadership is on this, and if they're getting the results, then oh my god, I should also try doing that. And it can be a teamwork, right? Like if
Yeah.
you have the barrier, whether content or mental, right? They can come in and they can say, hey, this is what I posted, maybe you can take some inspiration from this.
Yep.
Just post that out. Just
Yeah.
make your first post out. And I
Yeah.
think that then it's a good journey where you're like, oh, people are liking me and
Yeah.
I should probably do that. And
Yeah.
yeah, while we speak, Shri, who is our founder, he has come in and he's saying that with more social platforms, communities, social selling would be key. And I think no one does this better than Shri,
Yeah.
where he encourages us as factors employees to post as much as you can, do as much as creative stuff you want to.
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I think that was one thing that got me out of that mental block,
Yeah.
that what, Priyanka, you should probably start writing. So
Yeah. 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 And you talked about the CEOs. If you're a CEO of a company, you automatically have leverage. I feel like it's so much easier to build an audience when you're a CEO because people are like, you're running a company. You must be successful. Anybody's trying to start a company, post on LinkedIn, because yeah, it will be a lot easier than sitting there and just prospecting 24 hours a day, hoping that something comes in. But yeah, I feel like if CEOs of
yeah,
companies are perfect, and if they don't have the time, hire a ghostwriter as a CEO. I'm not a big, I don't advocate for ghostwriters, but some CEOs are just like, hey, I'm on a plane 24 hours a day and I don't know what to do and all that stuff. Good way
yeah,
to, especially as a startup, good way to at least get some momentum going.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think, okay, moving on to the next question is building relationships, right? Like had it not been for LinkedIn and a post, I would never have asked you on this live, right?
Yeah.
Or we would be talking anyway, right? So um yeah, how has building relationships played, I mean, how has LinkedIn played a
Yeah.
main part in building relationships for you? Yeah, closer is yours.
Yeah. So I will say with the relationship part, and I'm very transparent with like what my goals are, what I through interviews and everything. I'm very transparent. And so when I first started posting on LinkedIn, I could care less about relationships, to be honest. I was like, I'm gonna build a following and I'm gonna monetize it and I'm gonna make a lot of money. That was literally what I was thinking when I started posting. But then recently, not like 2 or 3 months ago, it hit me that I was like talking to founders and I wanted to start interviewing founders and not about how they built their company, but like very specific things about what they're doing. I was just reaching out to kind of the people that I've built relationships with through the 9 months of posting. And I had 25 founders that were like, yeah, let's chat. Like, always happy to chat with you. And many of these I can text right now or give a call to, and they're just willing to chat. Actually, I texted one last night and said, hey, can I get your advice? Just because I'm always trying to learn, so many different new things. But so when I was looking at it, I was like, whoa, not only do I have like all of this leadership, like all these leadership connections and, marketing and in sales because I've been posting that persona for a while, but I also have all these founders in my corner as well that, just would be there to help me with whatever I need. So I will say right now, the way it's helped me with relationships, like obviously we're on this live because of LinkedIn. So that's one thing. But there's that. I've helped a lot of people just go to market with their ideas and their business ideas, and if they're like bootstrapping startups, I think that stage is so fun, helping companies and friends go from 0 customers to 5 to 10. That's such a fun stage. um, but yeah, I'm friends with a lot of founders now, which is really, really interesting because at the end of the day, I do want to create my own business, and having that network I know it'll pay off down the road. But also, I went to lunch last Friday with a president of a company here local to Raleigh, and next thing you know, he's got these connections that were the earliest investors in Google and Apple and Amazon, and now we're talking bigger picture things about go to market and stuff. I was texting him the other night, and I was just thinking like this came from LinkedIn. I like we're sitting here talking about go to market strategies, and he's been doing this for so many years, and is connected with the biggest wigs of tech. Um, so I feel, I mean, it's transformed kind of like the way I live and that I will live. I think in 5 years down the road, my life will look completely different than if I never posted at all. Um, and yeah, it just, I always, like I kind of said about the prospecting thing, I always try to give first, whatever that is. And that's why I post literally every single thing that I do throughout my sales journey on LinkedIn to make sure that people can resonate with it and people can take it away and go apply it to themselves. Um, and then I got a LinkedIn message last night where a person was like, "Hey, I followed your whiteboard. I followed your whiteboard post, whatever the post was, and it booked." And the CISO, he also targets cybersecurity. So the CISO called me within minutes and wanted to chat about how we can help him. Like that stuff's amazing. Like I now have a relationship with that person because I was able to help him, and I didn't even know till he reached out to me and said that it worked. So, um, yeah, I think it's going to be life changing in the upcoming years.
Yeah, I think, oh, that's really philosophical. Like this is what people say in like Oscar awards or something. Like this has been life changing for me, and it's good to know that it has been so impactful for you. I think in general, you might not like be really good friends or haven't. I mean, if you have some 5,000 followers, that doesn't mean you're in touch with all 5,000 of them. But those five or even 50 who regularly like your posts or comment or share or watch your lives events, whatever, right? Those do form strong foundation or network for you to go ahead with the other 50 that you will build within your follower journey, right? And I don't like to call, um I mean, term this follower,
I know.
because I just think it's a bit like it's not something that I want to call my friends.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
yeah,
weird.
it's weird to call followers, but even like those connections that you form, they they do add a lot of value than you would have imagined. So when I started writing, I was not I was I thought that I'll write, right, and I'll get some engagement. I never thought from a perspective that, oh, I can learn as well,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
I never thought it that way. Whether it was like my because I was not exposed to that environment previously, or or it's just like how things work, and you're like a bit self-centered when it comes to starting up things. So, but what it has done is, like, yeah, I obviously write and stuff, but what I've learned over the years, I mean, not over the years, maybe from whenever I started writing, is the relationship is like one part, and what you get out of that relationship in terms of learning is immense. And
yeah,
I never thought that I'll get to that sort of a level.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It is, and I feel like people, they don't believe it, right? They almost like, I mean, maybe that's another reason they don't post, is they don't really think anything will happen at the end. And I was actually that person, which is why I didn't really post anything more than company updates. I was like, there's no way if I post on LinkedIn, I can go start meeting founders of multi-billion dollar companies and stuff. Like the next thing you know, 9, 12 months later, I have coffee with, the founder of Pindo, which everybody loves Pindo and things like that. And it's really interesting. And that even actually just came from, that started from LinkedIn, like just having this vision of what I want, kind of like, so LinkedIn kind of cemented my vision of what I want in the next 5 to 10 years. It was, hey, I see how easy it is to get access to people. And then I also see how easy it is to just give valuable insights and typically get something in return for it. So that was actually from an email, not even LinkedIn. However, because of LinkedIn, I had this mindset of, if I can go meet these 20 founders on LinkedIn that are building their Series A, Series B startups, I can go meet somebody that just exited after they had built a $3 billion company. Like, there's no reason why they'd say no. And so it's a big shift. However, it's like we said in the beginning, and I always try to put emphasis on this. It's taxing.
Yeah.
It's mentally draining at times, and it can take a toll on you. And I like to point that out because nobody really talks about it. I would, wake up at 4 or 5 a.m., whatever. I'd go to the gym, and at the gym, in between my sets, I'd be on LinkedIn commenting on people's posts, and then I'd get home and I'd make breakfast, and while my breakfast is on the skillet, I'm commenting on people's posts and liking stuff. I get off work, and then it's me, my wife, and my son time, and I'm not really present. I'm just commenting and engaging because I wanted to build an audience. So I took about a 2 week break when that happened, because I was like, wow, I'm not present. I'm just on LinkedIn all day. And people fall in that trap. I've talked about a dozen people that have fallen into that trap, because when you go get Justin Welsh's course, or you go get any of these courses of these people that sell, like how to be good on LinkedIn. It's like engage, 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 post every day, engage, narrow down your niche, which you don't really need a niche. I mean, look at Darren McKee. He's built a 100K following with no niche.
Yeah.
But yeah, they say all that, and it's at the end of the day, I think that you can get away with, if you want to slowly build an audience, I think you can get away with 30 minutes a day of engagement and then make a post. But on the AE side, it's 100%. I don't know why people wouldn't use LinkedIn to book more meetings and close more deals. It's way easier than email and cold calling. So I don't know why they wouldn't.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right. One last question, and for the audience, if you have any questions, thoughts that you want to share with us, do put it on the comments. We'll take it up after this last question. Yeah. So my last question is, how has social selling um, helped you in your personal journey? Right, not relationships, no AE revenue,
Yeah.
sales, pipeline closed stuff, but just
Yeah.
personally. Yeah.
So I can start from some past things. When I was at MongoDB, I built a services business. I'm very big in like trying to build things and things like that. Everybody who's talked to me knows it. I built a services business when I was at MongoDB, where there was three things that I did to book meetings that were out of the norm. So I used Zoom desktop to end up booking meetings. I was using a lot of video, and this was 4 or 5 years ago when video was still kind of making its way into the market. And then I was using LinkedIn, but I had a very specific workflow on LinkedIn from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. every morning that I would do. And it would end up booking me 3 to 4 meetings a week. Anyways, what I did was I thought to myself, wow, these are breaking into accounts where people are struggling breaking into accounts. I wonder if I can take this information, kind of like a course, bundle it up, and then go sell it, right? And so next thing you know, I'm having 5 meetings a week while I have a full-time job, because people want to learn how I'm breaking into accounts more. So personally, knowing that I can go out and build a business and literally only rely on LinkedIn, that's huge. That's one thing. The second thing kind of feeds off what I just talked about, and that's knowing that in the next few years, personally, the LinkedIn, like I'm going to stay consistent on LinkedIn for as long as I have the capacity to. And I know that it's only going to get bigger. It's only going to get better. And so personally, I believe that, I believe that I will be in a spot in 3 years that will be way further than what I could have ever dreamed of because of LinkedIn. And then also, it's so awesome for me when people reach out to me. So last week I posted about, hey, I have 15 minutes to spare next week. If you're a sales rep, reach out to me. I'll book, we'll try to break into accounts together and things like that. And I had a dozen people reach out, and I booked all 12 spots over the next 2 to 3 weeks because I want to help people. So now I get to make friends too. So that's and look, we're here because of it. And so I think that's how it's helped me personally. And yeah, I guess, and I'll report back. We'll jump on a live in 3 years, and I'll let you know where I'm at to see if that actually does change.
Oh no, why wait for 3 years? We'll do a live in another 6 months, maybe in
Yeah.
December, before we go to the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that I've said this, it just struck my mind that 2023 is halfway over.
Yeah.
It's really hard to register.
It
But
is.
anyway, but one more thing, right? Like when you so when we spoke about, there was like no plan for you to build relationship, make friends. You
Yeah.
just wanted that pipeline
Yeah.
on your CRM, that hey, this is contact Troy and all of that. So too bad LinkedIn doesn't monetize, but I think LinkedIn should start monetizing. That's like one thought that I had in my mind,
Yeah.
that as a platform, if you're encouraging creators, then
Yeah.
why not pay them?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes of like the bigger names. I wouldn't be shocked if LinkedIn monetized people like Justin Welsh or something like that. I don't know. I mean, he just dropped. He's got what 400,000 followers. There's
Yeah,
people. Reed, I can't remember his last name. He's got like 2.4 million followers on LinkedIn. Maybe they don't, right? Maybe there's just zero monetization. But speaking of that, another way that companies could have their employees post on LinkedIn is incentivize them to. Like kind of there's what's his name? I think his name is Andrew Melbourne. Can't remember the exact name, but he talks a lot about this. Creating a plan or a structure of being able to incentivize people to post on LinkedIn to build and drive more demand, which could be a way to do that as well. But yeah, it would be cool if LinkedIn did let you monetize, like anybody monetize. But there's ways around it. You build your newsletter. They did allow you now to like, this isn't too new, but have the little link in your profile where it can
yeah,
take them off to a different website and monetize it. But I mean, as soon as you redirect somebody from the site they're on, you're automatically dropping like 85% of traffic. So, um, yeah,
yeah. I think people do that, like they externally monetize their services
yeah,
via calls and all of that, which is good. But like I think even if LinkedIn starts monetizing their creators and whatever, I think they've started thought leader ads where anybody can promote
mhm,
your, but that's totally different. It's not for the creator, it's for the company.
yeah,
So
it is,
uh, yeah, so I was thinking in terms of having a really low barrier. Like
yeah.
YouTube recently made its barrier, like if you have 500 subscribers, you can monetize.
Oh wow,
Yeah, and 500 subscribers is not
yeah,
really high. So
yeah,
maybe something like that. If LinkedIn starts doing it, I think it'll really go huge as a creator platform.
yeah,
That's my thinking. But yeah, thanks for this, Troy.
yeah.
Yeah, any last comments that you want to make? Any warnings about LinkedIn can consume you? You might scroll through your phone during your family time.
No, I think I've scared people enough on that. What I will say is because I'm sure that there is a fair amount of account executives and probably marketers that are listening in on this. One thing that a few things that I'm really strict on. One, I never include a message with any connection request that I send out on LinkedIn ever. I will never include a message. As soon as you do that, you look like you're about to sell them. That's one thing. People might feel differently. That's fine. That's okay. But for me, I have the highest conversion rate if I don't include a message. The second thing is when you are social selling and you are doing things like that, there's a few things I recommend. And especially if you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator. If you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, save your leads, all these people that you're connecting with, save them. And then on the homepage, you'll be able to see every time that they post, comment on their post. Don't Doesn't matter. Like if they're hiring, just hey, I love to see the growth at the company. Congratulations. I'll let you know if I find anybody. Something like that. Like again, I was looking at some of the comments here. It's the give to get approach. Just constantly give people or give to people on LinkedIn, especially when they're in your ICP and you're trying to sell to them. I'd say that's another thing. A third thing is nobody cares about your product. Literally, I don't care who you're selling to. They don't care about your product because there's thousands of or hundreds of other people that are reaching out with a product that one can be similar to yours or two you're competing with the budget because it does something different, but it still comes from marketing budget or sales budget or security budget. and that they don't care. Like literally zero people care about your product. And it's harsh to say, but it's true. But what they do care about is what the value can be from your product. So
Yeah.
when you are messaging people on LinkedIn, don't like there's no reason to say my product can do this, this, and that. But they're tell a story with it. Like who did it do it for, and share what their share what their results were and their success was. Um, and I think about this a lot more than I should. I was thinking about this last night when I was in bed. That like factors, you might have a handful of companies that compete with you directly or somewhat compete with you. But to be honest, like if you look at a Metadata IO or a Clearbit, or if you look at even things outside of that, like a Mutiny, you're still competing with the budget that they're selling for. And so it's like nobody cares about your product. And so that all comes back to making your message very clear, what I said in the beginning. And because my vocab sucks, I can't use big words anyways. So when I realized that I was pitching product, hey, my product can do this, this, and that, and it will help you with this. No, like if you can paint the picture for them and share the value of what more so like write it as if you're in their shoes, right? Like if you were to get that email, how would you want your life to be impacted? And if you were, if somebody wrote an email to you to sell you and said, hey, my product does this, your life wouldn't be impacted. But if you were like, hey, Troy up the road ended up, running a 3-minute mile because he did these three things and you want to run a 3-minute mile, chances are it's going to, and that's probably impossible, by the way, but chances are it's going to resonate more. So know
Yeah.
that every sales rep should know that nobody cares about your product at all. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
I think
what it is.
sometimes I think my audience doesn't even care about me a lot. and,
Or
and
you, or you,
yeah,
or
that's yeah,
you.
or you. That's because right, if I write like, hey, this is factors, this is how we do funnel analytics, they'll be like, okay, and what do we do of this information? But if I write something like, oh, if you want to see how a prospect has gone from this stage to this stage to this stage, you can't do that in X software, but you can do that in
Mm-hmm.
factors.
Yep.
And there's an instant interest in this, right? Oh, you can solve my problem. Like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't matter if it's through factors or any other tool, but you can solve my problem. This is the problem and this is the solution. So
Yeah.
I think that worked for us. We I mean, at least I got to this realization a little bit later.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I think your audience cares about how much value you give them,
Yep.
and coincidentally, if your software solves for it, then great.
Yeah.
But it cannot be the other way around,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we like selling. And this, I think, this also applies to sales emails, right?
Yeah.
Like
It,
you
it,
you propose the solution for a problem and not your product,
yeah,
right?
exactly. Why would you? There's no reason to tell anybody about your product if you don't know what their problem is. It's funny.
Yeah.
I have this take that's kind of controversial, but not really. But I really do believe prospecting is just marketing at the end of the day. Um, and
That's why it's social selling.
yeah, exactly. And I think that the second that a sales rep throws somebody in a sequence, it's crazy. Like I think of Outreach and Sales Off. They essentially just took Mailchimp and SendGrid and all these tools and said, "Hey, we're for sales, though."
Yeah.
And it's all marketing. It's all marketing. So there's that. Develop if you are going to be social selling, especially on LinkedIn. Comment on all of their posts. Tag them in posts that you think that they'd be really
Yeah.
interested in, which is what I do a lot. And then when you're messaging them, don't do a call to action the first message. You can do it like, the third, fourth message, but
Yeah.
give them something. Like just say, here's how this company did this or this or whatever it might be. Or hey, I always just say, hey, do you mind if I share some helpful, like I said earlier, like some helpful news or some threats that we're seeing, things like that. Or I'll just say, do you mind if I share any sort of blogs in the cybersecurity industry that you might find, useful? Um, I do that kind of stuff. And usually it's free information. Usually people say yes to that. It's better than you'll get a higher conversion rate over time. Just takes a little bit longer. But I think those are I think those are my
Hmm.
last words. And just be a familiar face. That's key. Be a familiar face. If you are, people trust you. It's just psychological. I don't know the science behind it, but if people see you a lot, they start trusting you. It's like influencers, right?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One more thing I want to add is that So, like I said, we get almost like 30% of our, I think it's more. I'm not really sure about the exact numbers. Yeah, 30% of our traffic from organic social or LinkedIn, right? And
Mm-hmm.
we as a practice have made this compulsory for our whoever is doing the demo call to ask that where did you find us? Like we anyway have the drop down, but we still want to hear good things about us. So
Yep.
we asked the prospect on call, and they said that, oh, I came across some post, this post or some post from someone,
Yeah.
but they do remember what the post was about, like sort of they do.
Yeah.
Oh, so this was the post, and this was the problem that your post was talking about. This
Mm-hmm.
was the value. I don't remember who it was or where it was, but this is why I have come to you, and not because of a person, but I obviously follow them or see them, but I don't remember who is the person. So
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
why I said that they don't care about your product or
Yep.
you.
Or you?
They
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they
Uh,
care about the problem and the value that you
yeah.
might propose, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's mostly it, and we've been on for more than 45 minutes.
Yep.
I thought
Yeah.
I'll wrap it up in 30, but it's good when engaging conversations happen, that too live.
Yep.
So yeah, it's
That
it's
is. I
it's
know. It's a lot different when you're live and it's not edited out or anything.
yeah, I think again that was one barrier in my brain. I had to come out like, oh, I have to go live
Yeah.
amongst
Yeah.
10,000 people. So yeah, but it's great. It was great having you, Troy, and
Yeah.
one of the greatest conversations I had.
Good.
My topic of interest, again,
Yep.
something that I think I do a little well.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
won't brag on myself, but yeah, I think
Good.
that was great talking to you, and hope to see you soon on a live again.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. It was really fun.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'll see you soon on the next LinkedIn Live.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.